I go back to 2020, Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, love him or hate him. And one of the last talking pieces he came into the end of that episode is where he talks about winning has a price, leadership has a price. And he's never going to put somebody through something when it comes to having a winning mindset, when it comes to having a leadership mindset, that he wasn't willing to do. And so what? Sometimes you got to get up underneath people. Sometimes you got to apply the pressure. Because as a man or as a woman, you command a sense of respect and value in this world. And so I come to you guys today because, it's again monologue time. And I always say is that in life, there's going to be some times, there's going to be some challenging moments that we have around us that we really have to start putting into perspective. I say it's all about you show up. And who are you showing up for? That can be family, that can be friends, that can be a loved one. And there's times that us as people, like myself, and like I know several others that I simply sit here and coach and mentor, that listen to the podcast, listen to these talking points, all want to have the same type of level of value and respect in our world. And sometimes we have big personalities and strong-minded like myself that do command a level of understanding. We're pillars. We have the ability to really simply sit here and lock in and focus because we want the very best for people that are around us. Even though when we have our eyes down and we're focused on our craft, on our business, on life, we can always rise above the water, even when it feels like we're drowning, to be able to aid and help and understand other people. But here's the conversation piece I bring to you is what happens when you don't get the exact same thing. There's times in life that we'll have times where we struggle mentally. We may struggle physically. There might even be some times of maybe a passing. Death. It always happens. Because we're never ever promised tomorrow. But you have to look at those loved ones that you step up for and you show up for. Through when they're sick. Through when they're going through a time. And you have to ask yourself is, when you do that, you don't expect it in return. Because that's not what it's about. It's about showing up and who it is that you're going to be, because that's a sense of leadership and that's a sense of winning mentality and that's a sense of understanding what it is that you want around people. But there's one thing about humanity. Humanity has a way to simply sitting here and showing its true colors. No matter what you and a person have going on, no matter what the situation could be, do they show up when you need them the most? It's not only about texting. It's not only about picking up the phone and calling. It's about you having the ability and the understanding and the value system inside yourself, if raised in a household that commands a level of closing the gap through flesh. Meaning that person, no matter what they've got going on, it could be mentally struggling, to close that distance, to close that gap, to be that focal point, to be that aid. You see, there's a thing called ego. And some people don't feel like they need to simply sit here and lower their ego, which means lower the bar, because of their own personal agendas that they have going on in life. And that's okay. But I want people to really understand here in life is that you got to walk to go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. Because I understand in life, there's a lot of people that we have around us that are just harboring our own energy that we have. Because they're not here to celebrate who it is that we are. They're not here to stand by who it is that we are and what we're about to bring to the table. Because guess what? To do that, they have to self-reflect. Self-reflection is not necessarily about age, but it's about experiences in life. And what have you experienced in life? See, Experience in life can happen. You could be 15 and that person could be 25. That 15-year-old could go through things in life that that 25-year-old could not be able to touch on. Because that's life experience, not age experience. It's the same thing. Somebody that could be 55 could go through a personal transformation that that 20-year-old may not have to go through. But it's about you to close the gap and understand. In the last 2.5 weeks, I've really put things into perspective in life. I've always been about go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. Some people that you don't even have a close relation to can actually show you more love in a time when you need them the most. They can pick up the phone. They could pick up a Cash App, a Venmo, a PayPal, and ask you, how can I help you? They can reach out to you in the times that you need people the most and say do you need to eat? I can bring you a meal. I can show up. Let's go for a walk. Let's go for a talk. Let's go sit down. Let's grab a coffee. Let's understand what it is we can get to. And those are total strangers. But the people that you put trust in enlisting your time and your energy in for times of, it could be a month or 2 months or 3 months or 4 months to a year to 2 years to 5 years to 10 years are the ones that disappoint us the most. But where leadership comes into play also comes down to pair bonding. Now I speak about the loved ones. The ones that you lay in bed with. The ones that you share your most intimate moments with. And when they let you down the most. But you have total strangers that may not know you in the flesh can close that gap. Versus the ones that you simply sit here and lay in bed with, kiss with, talk to, pillow talk with. Perspective. Sometimes people, I've always said this, can hold you to the capacity that they hold for themselves. Because they don't have it inside of them or inside of their soul to really put the pride and the ego aside. So sometimes in life, as cold and callous as it may be, and where you put your values, your principles, and your foundations through leadership, you got to get rid of it. You got to say enough is enough to move forward. Because we push past things that no longer serve us. We push past things that no longer have our future. And that's just the mentality of life. Signed, sealed, and delivered. It's about how you show up for others. It's how you be the caretaker for others. It's how you simply sit here and you check on the real dopamine hits of others. By any means necessary. Even if you get hungry, even if you get tired, still close that distance. Still close that gap in the flesh. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my time. Officially, Rory, signing off for duty.